Hey guys, welcome back to Life Barbells BS. So we are here today with another special guest, and I'm not going to say her name yet. Today's theme is going to be centered around excellence. Every time I consider somebody to come on the show, I kind of watch and observe, and that's one of the things we talked about a couple of weeks ago is never assume that people aren't watching, because it's just one of those realities of life. People are always watching you. But I kind of started this, if you want to call it a game, where I kind of pick out a person that I think I want to bring on the show, and what's the first word that comes to mind. And so for this guest, it was excellence. You feeling uncomfortable yet?
No.
It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. All right, so this is a quote by Aristotle, and it says, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit." So excellence is something that's intentional. It's not something you wake up every day and just say, I'm just going to be excellent today. It's built on over time. So as I've known this person for a little while, wait, several months, but we've talked on and off. I try to leave her alone because we out of all the people in the gym, you've got hundreds of people daily that come in, and our guest today would probably be ranked in the top 3 of the most intense people. So when she comes in the gym, it's on. It's full-blown wind sprints upstairs to punching the bag like she's really angry at somebody. I've seen her pick up 250 pounds and farmer's walk all the way down the gym and back, which is kind of insane. It's a little ridiculous, considering how big she is, because she's just a little person. But let me give you a little background, and I'll let her tell you more about herself. So she is a 5th grade school teacher and has been for...
This will be my 11th year.
11th year.
Yeah.
So she also kind of falls in that category when we talk about faith, family, and fitness. So faith is at the top. Family is extremely important. She's a wife. She's a mom of a 6-year-old. And then, of course, fitness is a huge part of her life. She's a first Phorm Legionnaire. If you're not familiar with Phorm, they're one of the largest supplement companies in the world. And in my opinion, probably the best run company in the world.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
Their values are second to none. So if you're not familiar with Andy Frisella, you may or may not like him, but I love him. I've been following him for a long time. So just a fantastic company. So if you're associated with that company, everybody kind of has those shared values.
Right. It's like a family.
She's also a coach within the Phorm app.
Yes.
She has coached hundreds of young ladies along their fitness journey. She is a PhD student at the University of South Carolina.
Yeah, it's going to take it out of me. It's a lot.
So that's a lot. So again, we talk about excellence. It's all these areas of your life. So, and actually me and my wife were talking about this weekend about being busy.
Yeah.
Every day you hear people say, I'm overwhelmed, I'm busy, things are chaotic, I can't get things done. But we were talking just yesterday about how it seems like the most successful people in the world, when you look at people who are really high achievers, their fitness is at another level. Their time management is another level. They seem to squeeze more hours out of the day than other people do. But we're going to get into all that. So with that said, let me introduce our guest today, and it is Katie Hood. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I think that's when they turn the camera on you. It's like, there she is.
Yeah. Here I am.
So I think the first question, because my goodness, we could probably have 2 or 3 of these and keep talking, because I have a lot of questions.
Okay.
You have a background in competitive bodybuilding.
I do. That started in 2015, I think. Yeah, 2015.
Yeah. So this has been a part of your life for a long time, and we're not going to get too deep into that. But again, it's I kind of relate to that because I'm the kind of person that's like pushing yourself to these extremes. What can setting these lofty goals, what somebody said, I heard somebody say a long time ago, if your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough.
Yeah.
But it's just setting these goals that seem unattainable, or that placing yourself in this position of kind of the top 1% of the people in the world and say, I can do that.
Yeah.
So with you, it kind of goes to another level. So it's fitness, and let's get a PhD, and let's, so what drives you? Where did this come from?
Yeah. So growing up, I have 2 older sisters, and I'm the baby of 3 girls. And so I was always in competition with my oldest sister, and I feel like I grew up kind of in her shadow a little bit. And I think that's probably where my competitive side started. We're a very competitive family. We still, when we get together at the beach with our kids, we're racing, we're doing all kinds of stuff, and it's fun. But I think that growing up, I always heard, you're just not great at math. You're a good writer, and you're just, you didn't get into Clemson, so you can go to USC. So all these things that were meant well, it was just kind of a comparison. And I think that pushed me down more than I realized. Like, I just internalized it more than I realized. And when I graduated with my bachelor's degree in elementary education, I always felt like I'm just a teacher. And now I'm like, oh, that's such a great career. Like, I'm a teacher. I get to teach today's youth. But growing up when I first started, it was like, I'm just a teacher, and I'm not smart enough to do anything else. And I internalized that. And then Matt and I met when I was still in college, which is my husband. We moved to Aiken together, and I had lost some weight because I gained weight in college. And then, your typical started running, lost a bunch of weight. And when we got in the gym there in Aiken, people were like, well, why don't you bodybuild? And I didn't even think that was a possibility. Yeah. But I was motivated just by, wait a minute, people are seeing something in me that I don't even see in myself. And so that took me down the bodybuilding road. Then during COVID, I built my coaching business. First Phorm helped me see things in me as a coach that I had never seen in myself before, that I was able to help other people with, and a whole different skill set than I even realized I had. And teaching was still just like, oh, you're just a teacher. So I was teaching on the side, but really my passion was fitness and bodybuilding and coaching and helping others. Went down that road for a little while. COVID came. I was coaching with Hood Fitness on the side, thinking about quitting teaching, and just through different friendships and relationships, people seeing in me, oh, you're actually really smart. I like the way you think, and I like the things that you've read. You should go back to school. But I didn't know what I wanted to pursue my master's in, because that's what I was working on at the time. And I was so scared to take the GRE. I was like, I can't do it. It's going to be too hard. I'm not smart enough. Everyone's told me I'm not good at taking tests. So I avoided it because I didn't think I could do it. But then people kind of letting me see qualities in me that I didn't see throughout Matt, whether that be Matt or friendships from First Phorm or different friends in my life. I went ahead and applied to USC on a whim one day because I found a program for educational psychology and research. I was like, I'm really interested in psychology. I think I'm smart enough, but I can do it. And I applied, and I took the GRE at home. I did okay. It was like right at the baseline. It wasn't super high. It wasn't super low, but I was like, all right, this is average. I can do this. And from there, that started the belief in myself that I can do this. It just is work. I have to study. It doesn't come naturally. And so building relationships with my professors there, and them seeing in me, again, qualities that I didn't see in myself. Other people have brought out things in me that I didn't believe in myself over time, have led me to, oh, I have all this inside of me, this potential that I have to tap into. And it just takes hard work. It takes staying up and studying and learning, but it's there if I believe in myself. But it's that insecurity that is deep down, that we're not smart enough or we can't do it, whatever it be. People. So back to your original question, what motivates me and inspires me is people seeing qualities in me that I don't see in myself. And then a belief that I can do this, and just going after it, even when it's hard, and because I enjoy it and I'm learning along the way. So hopefully that answers your question.
No, it does. And it brings up more questions or really more thoughts. So everybody watching this, so let's just say it's just the hundreds of people in the gym who come across you a couple of times a week. And so we create this perception of people that we see. Mm-hmm. And this perception is that person has it all together. It's kind of like social media. Mm-hmm. So we see somebody on social media, and we start to put the pieces of the puzzle together. We fill in those gaps based on what we see. Right. Everything is perfect. They've got it all together. They've got more confidence than anybody in the world. So I think that's a really good message, is that high achievers like yourself, somebody like me who sets lofty goals, we have the same insecurities and the same fears that everybody else does. I think what sets people apart is their ability to face those fears. Mm-hmm. And it's also, like we've talked about before, that inner circle that you surround yourself with, people that do see things in you that you don't see in yourself. And that saying again, never be the smartest person in the room. Like, surrounding yourself with people that you can pick their brain, that they're close enough to you. I want to reach that level or whatever. So one of the questions that I had, so if you look at all these, and let's go back to teaching for a minute. Because you mentioned there was a time where you considered, do I do something else?
Yeah, that was about year 5. It was such a hard year. It was during COVID too, so it looked way different than it looks now. But I was ready to quit teaching and completely start coaching full time. And now I've done a 180 again, and here we are, still teaching.
Well, I think that's really interesting because, so I'm going to talk from the position of a parent.
Okay.
Sometimes we make these general statements. So all the parents sitting at home are making these comments about school. And then you hear comments made from educators, so let's just say some of the more general conversations or comments that you hear. A teacher may say that if you were doing your job at home, our job wouldn't be so hard here.
The blame is always going to somewhere else.
Right. And then of course the parents are, I send these kids 8 hours a day, and then I'm having to come
reteach
home
them at home.
Right. So this perception, but you could have, I think what I've seen from a lot of teachers, it really is such a commitment. And we could get into the pay, and we could get into all those things. And there's a big debate, and there's been a debate forever about how much teachers make. And I think most people believe that teachers should be paid more, just based on the fact that they're shaping our children for the future. Right. But for somebody like you who has just tons of opportunities, you can pretty much do anything you wanted to, especially once you cross that threshold of, I do believe in myself now.
Yeah.
So you were at that crossroads. I could go be a coach. I could really go to the next level with Phorm. I could do whatever I want to do, but no, I'm going to back down because there's something about this. And that's where our passion comes in because of the John Maxwell team and leadership. And we have a program called Youth Max. So basically all of the John Maxwell leadership curriculum is taken and put into language for elementary and middle school kids.
That's great.
That we teach them the same leadership principles. So it's about values, and it's about self-perception and integrity and character and all that stuff. So being able to work with these kids on a daily basis and see that you have this role to play, that you have this chance to have some type of impact on their lives. Obviously, is that the thing that keeps you and still drives you to keep doing it?
Yeah, I think teaching is the most impactful job I could have. Everyone says, well, when you get your PhD, what are you going to do? And I'm like, just be a teacher. And they're like, you're going to be an overqualified teacher. I'm like, but it's where I'm passionate about. And I couldn't think of anything more purposeful. I think year 5 was tough because when you're teaching in the classroom for that 1 year, 180 days, you see the kids every day, but you're not seeing the long-term effect you have. You're not seeing the rippling effect that comes back. But I think it was probably 3 or 4 years ago, I had my first group of kids, which were in 5th grade, that were graduating high school, come to a senior walkthrough, and they stopped by and they spoke to me, and they're emailing me, and they're telling me how, as a 5th grade teacher, this is how you've impacted my life. And that's when I internalized, and I was like, whoa, this is an impactful career that kids that I've taught 7, 8, 9 years ago are coming back to me and telling me how I've helped them. And they're still asking me questions as they're in high school and they're in middle school, navigating those social dynamics. It's so powerful. And I realized we need good teachers. Now that I'm a mom and I have a son in public school going to 1st grade, I think what drives me is I want someone to, every decision I make in the classroom, the back of my mind, I'm thinking, how would I want someone to speak to my son? How would I want someone to pour into him? And so whether it's a child who's coming with a lot of challenges and he is a huge disruption or she's a huge disruption, I still try to approach it from, if this were my child, how would I want the teacher to talk to them? And I think that's what drives every decision I make. So motherhood and then time in the field of education and seeing the culminating impact has what's transformed that from, oh, I'm just a teacher, to I couldn't think of anything more powerful as a job to have.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So every day we see something about the difference in generations. You know, Gen X versus Gen Z versus millennials, and so you're in the fire all day long. And I know 5th grade, but you're also exposed to kids of different ages.
Right.
So optimistic view for the future or pessimistic view of the future? Because we're bombarded every day, right? It's like, oh, we're doomed. This is
That's a hard question.
Yeah.
I think just like with our mentality, it's so easy to be like, the world is going in the wrong direction, and look at where we are politically, and look at what's happening. And I have a choice. I could choose to, it's not disregarding reality. So I could choose to look at that side and internalize it, but that's only going to make me super negative with my career and being a mom, knowing my child is raised and going to grow up in that type of environment with that mentality. So I have a very optimistic view of our future. It's different, but I always like to remind myself, what's the word I'm looking for? Generationally. Nope, it's not coming.
So generational.
Across the generations. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So across the generations, we have had, I think all of our grandparents, our parents have said, oh, society's changing, new technology, and the kids are different. I've been hearing the kids are different since I started, and that was 11 years ago. And then even growing up, my parents were like, kids these days are different. So that argument could always be made. And I do think, there's things that need to happen in society that we need to make a systemic change. But ultimately, I think I have good optimistic views of our future. I think as long as we can get teachers doing the right thing, and there's got to be a trust in place for educators, I think that trust is broken down, and there's reasons for that. But if there's a trust that the children are coming to us the best they can, from the best they have, and then a trust in the educators that the educators are qualified to do their jobs. And that's the hard part, because, just like any career, you got some really good eggs and you got some bad eggs. But I think there's got to be a trust. But I think that we're going in the right direction, I hope. There's changes that need to be made, and there's a lot of books I've read on that. So I guess what keeps me optimistic is I am one person in the field of educators that hopefully I also take on interns that I can pass these beliefs down to them to create that change that needs to take place in the field of education to keep it moving in the right direction.
That's awesome. All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot. So this is one of those hot topics that, and it just came to me. I didn't plan on doing this, but so I'm going to do it anyway.
All right, let's do it.
We got to do it. So I would consider myself conservative. That's, not going to get into politics, but I'm conservative, a man of faith. You're a person of faith. These talking points, and this one's specific to the education system, that we, especially in the conservative world, we'll see things like, we want to be a lion, not a sheep. And we want to be a leader, not a follower. And it's just, and so we start to put forth this narrative, and specific to the education system. It was created. Now, this is what's said. I'm not saying.
Okay.
It was created to herd these kids into a building to only train them. So let's go back 100 years.
Okay.
To only train them to be at a certain place at a certain time, to do what you're told, when you're told, how you're told to do it, so you can get out of school and go work in the factory. Right. So we keep pushing this narrative, and all it does is take the education system, which has evolved to a tremendous degree, having 4 children, 3 that are grown and 1 still in middle school. I don't see that. When every teacher that our son has had, they've been incredible.
Yeah, that's a blessing. Not everybody can say that.
Yeah,
that's a blessing.
Yeah. It's been a great experience. He's learned so much. He's one of those kids. He falls in the line. He's great at creative writing, and he's more of that right brain kind of kid. And but all of that's been encouraged. But I think the danger in following those narratives is that it automatically makes you the enemy.
Right. It's very divisive. And I think that's what our political landscape is today. It's you against me. It's divisive. And I see that so much, even with like public school here in the Southeast is so different than I think so many other places. So I can only speak from my, viewpoint, but I do think it's so divisive with how we view things. And a lot of times we can get caught up reading, but we're reading things that we naturally agree with. And we're like, I'm seeking out content that doesn't cause me to question my beliefs or cause me to think differently. And
confirmation bias.
Right. That's exactly what that is.
Right.
And so we're reading these things and we're just proving, yeah. And we're getting more and more divided versus really coming together, like I said, and having that trust. But the trust, parents should question things and so should teachers. That's where it comes back, thinking critically and asking questions from a place of genuine curiosity versus a place of blame or a place of fear, I think is a big deal. But I do think it is very divisive today. Luckily, where I'm teaching, I've chose to stay there for the last 11 years because there is a trust that is built. But that takes time to build, and it takes really being involved as a parent in the school so you know what's going on. And in your community, like local elections, all of that plays a role in what's happening in your school system. So you're not so detached. You've got to be involved as a parent so you have a voice and you know what's going on, and you're not just getting your information from the latest news article you're reading, because what's happening there may be very different than what's happening locally.
Or social media.
Yeah, which is why I'm not on it.
Right. Yeah, and by the way, this one's going to be a little bit of a challenge, right? So it's like we depend on, sharing all this stuff, and I was going to ask you, is that more of a choice on your part
to be off social media,
or is it kind of with the? I've always wondered that. Does the school say, "Hey, we'd like for you not to be," or
no? That was a complete choice on my end. I was super involved in social media. That's where I built my own business. That's how I made content with Phorm. That's how we connected. And it was very consuming and it was negative. And I would feel like all the time I'm posting content and it's always about what's next. And then scrolling through and just wasting time. So I just chose to completely be off everything for my peace of mind. And it's hard at sometimes because I do like to get news and follow specific people and learn things. But there's other ways to do that versus me being completely in the door, fully immersed in it. And so I'm more present with my family and friends and at work when I'm detached. And I like it that way. But it is difficult in the society today, too, at the same time.
That's another one of those things that it takes discipline. I think once you get used to it, it's
so nice.
It's nice. Right. It's like this freedom. I'm free from that chaos on a daily basis. But even me and my wife talk all the time. It's like if you take 30 days and you just put together all the minutes, and we'll just go minutes that this has happened. It's like if you took all of those and compress them into time, how much time was available for me to do something much more productive?
Right.
Whether that be spending more time with my family, with my children, building a business, taking better care of myself, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So for somebody like you has 50 irons and 50 fires, you're doing so much. I mean, it almost becomes a necessity to
distance myself and be able to take that time that I was using on there, whether it was through creating content or just scrolling, to put it to something that's more going to move me forward in a way that's more productive.
Awesome. I love it. I'm not going to do it.
But you know what? And you also, though, when you're trying to build a business, like with teaching, I don't need to be on social media for it. And with, USC grad school, I don't have to be on social media. Anybody starting a business, like whether it's podcasts or just online coaching or something, you have to. That's the way you build your business. And that's one of the reasons why I walked away from coaching, because it was too much for me. And so if I were to ever go back down that route, it would have to come back as a part of it.
Especially doing this.
You have to. That's how you promote yourself.
And I'm really lucky because I have my wife who, I just hate it. I mean, it's like posting. I can take a picture and post and click. And done. But if I have to sit and write and do a hashtag,
but that's what it's all about. That's what makes a good post.
She helps me a lot because it drives me nuts. I can't do it. All right, so let's switch gears just a little bit.
Okay.
At least one time on every show, I tell people it doesn't matter what your faith is, because when we teach principles. And I'll challenge anybody to do this, no matter what your faith is. If you take these principles, doesn't matter whether it comes from the Bible or not, I guarantee you won't be able to prove the principle wrong. So just I ask people to listen to the principle of what we're talking about. This one may ruffle a couple of feathers because you have to put it into context, because we're going back into context in a context of thousands of years prior to now. And in this world of women's lib has almost become kind of, that's not really used much anymore. It's but it's I can do anything, you can do better, and the independence, and I get it. I completely get it. But so this was a different time.
Right.
So are you familiar with the Rebecca principle?
No.
You ever heard that?
No, fill me in.
All right. So I thought you might like this. So Abraham had a servant, and his name was Eleazar. And he was tasked with going to find a wife for Isaac. All right. So again, context, the wife was to be the matriarch of a nation, right? She was going to be the matriarch of the Jewish nation moving forward. So this was really important. So they're out searching for a wife for Isaac. And they came up with a test, and it was called the camel test. This is really interesting. I found, I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. So they would go from town to town, travel around. They had 10 camels.
Okay.
And they would go up to a town, and they would find a woman. And usually there was a woman who would usually greet the men and offer them food or water or whatever. And so typically a woman would come up and offer the men water. And of course they take it, thank you, move on. Well, when they came and met Rebecca, so she's carrying water, and she offered Eleazar something to drink. He said, thank you. And she said, I'm also going to water your camels. Now, this is what makes it really interesting, because they had 10 camels. And this is one of those little fun facts. Everybody, camels don't store water in their humps, by the way. I found that out too. There's all these things you learn growing up. It's like, it's not true.
Somebody's Googling it right now.
Yeah,
like, wait a minute, I got to fact check him.
They really don't. It's just fat. There's fat in their humps. Anyway, what's the squirrel? So there are 10 camels, and a camel can drink anywhere from 30 to 50 gallons of water in 10 minutes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like,
it's a lot of water.
If you didn't think you were going to learn something today, you're going to learn. All right, so imagine she's going to water all the camels.
Okay.
All right. So she has to draw the water from the well. All right, so let's just say 30 gallons, so 300 gallons of water.
She's working.
Yeah. So that takes us back. So everybody knows now Rebecca becomes Isaac's wife because she exhibited a character trait. A character trait that she was willing to go above and beyond to exhibit this character, that it was this act of loving kindness, that this person is in front of me. I not only want to take care of you because you've had a long journey, but I want to take care of the animals too. I want to make sure you're served well so you can go on with your journey and whatever. No expectation of anything. She didn't know why they were there.
Yeah.
She had no idea that they were there to choose a wife for Isaac. So it's that, so there's so many things to draw from that.
So many.
Yeah. So this idea of excellence. So excellence is going above and beyond what most people would ever expect. It comes from the word excel, which is just go above average. Right. But we live in a world now where this mediocrity is not only encouraged, but it's celebrated.
Right. That's what's so hard. That's so hard to see.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to just get your thoughts on, because again, when you're somebody who's driven, who's somebody who sets a very high standard for yourself, obviously, if you set a high standard for yourself, more than likely the people around you have those same standards.
Yeah, the people you keep close.
And then the people on the outside that you want the best for them. You want the best for your students. You want the best for people who, and let me backtrack a little bit. Again, one of the reasons you came on the show, because this is one of my little rules that I have.
Mm-hmm.
A rule. When I watch people interact with other people, so anytime there's somebody like Katie in the gym, number one, she goes in on a mission.
Yeah.
Like I'm here to
I'm here for business.
You're here for business. Right? You can tell. I mean, it's almost like she walks in the door. It's like,
well, I got that from, I think I was listening to a Jocko Willink podcast, and he was saying, like, right before you walk in the gym, you put your headphones in, and your brain, literally your mentality switches over. And that's what I try to do, because otherwise I'm distracted, and then I'm there enjoying myself. I'm making great relationships and connections, talking to people, but I miss my intent, which is to go and just take time for me and lift. So I think I got, I put that business face on, but it takes me far.
Right. But that's one of the reasons you're here.
Well, thank you.
Is not for just your intensity. It's because I understand that intensity.
Yeah.
And you still take time to stop when I know that there was one instance. I'll tell just a little short story.
All right. Now I'm curious.
I've only seen Katie get what I saw visibly perturbed. It showed big.
Did it?
Oh, yeah, it did. So Katie was doing an exercise, and I forget exactly what the comment was. It was something about, do you need some help? Or because that's the thing about a woman, right? Especially the old guys. I don't know what it is about the old guys. They want to give advice they're not qualified to give, and they just want to be your friend.
I always try to be friendly. I try to be.
But this is the one time you could just tell, because, and Katie's response was, "Does it look like I need help?" That's the only time. But the reason you're here is because you don't do that. The reason you're here is because I know how intense you are.
Yeah.
And you always take time. You stop. You look somebody in the eye, and you give them some time.
Yeah, I try to. And I think that's something I set for myself, because I know it can be easy for me I'm very introverted, and it can be easy for me to appear to be antisocial because I'm there for a specific reason. I'm there to train. And so I have to remind myself when someone stops to stop and have a quick conversation and just really genuinely listen to what they have to say, and not blow them off and not be rude. Because that's not the kind of person I want to be. And so it takes a little bit away, but ultimately I can, find some type of satisfaction in those engagements, because it is building relationships with people who you never know when it's going to come in handy, and you learn more about people, and I enjoy that.
Yeah. It's hard. I know, especially when you get locked in.
Yeah.
And that's why, most of our interaction ever since the first day I met you has always been morning.
Right.
Hey, because I'm not messing with. I know better. I know what you're there to do. So back to the mediocrity thing. How do we get back to that? How do we get back to, other than fighting it? Because sometimes I think we fight divisiveness with more divisiveness. We fight negativity with more negativity. We were going back to the faith aspect. We return evil for evil. And maybe I just answer my own question. Maybe the only way is to set the example ourselves.
That's actually interesting that you said that, because when I think of everything that I try to do, whether it be through teaching or through coaching, my work with Phorm as a student, I think leading by example is what has helped me so much with other people, with coaching other people. It's how can I say X, Y, and Z if I'm not doing that myself? And it's the same thing with being a mom and being a wife. Anything you do is leading by example. And so excellence can look like different things for different people. You don't have to go out and get a PhD. You don't have to go out and do all these things. But I've realized whatever I let into my mind and my mentality is going to have an impact on me one way or another. And it's going to either lead me toward the kind of person I want to be, or it's going to pull me away from it. And so I hopefully am walking toward the type of person I want to be. And for me, that's the music I listen to, being intentional, what I'm letting into my mind, the podcasts that I listen to, what I'm, letting into my thoughts, the books that I choose to read. again, if I'm looking on social media, the posts that I'm choosing to engage with, the people that I'm choosing to engage with, I can engage with different people, but what I'm allowing into my own life, I think, is only going to be hopefully things that move me forward. And there are definitely times where you stop and you realize, wait a minute, I'm walking away from what I want to be. So, oh, wait, I need to start going back this way, doing these things. But I think leading by example. And so whatever it is that I do, hopefully if I inspire other people, it's because I'm doing those things myself and I'm authentic to them. And that's, the kind of person I want to be. So leading with my faith, that's the most important thing to me. I hope when others look at me, they say, oh, she reminds me of the characteristics of Jesus. Like, that's how he was as a person, because that's who I want to be as a person. And then continuously going back to that. Hopefully I can instill that with Waters. Hopefully I can instill that with the kids that I teach, whether it doesn't have to be faith-based or anything, but it's literally the fruits of the Spirit. Like, are these qualities and characteristics that I'm demonstrating in all the areas of my life? And if so, people, I think, are attracted to that, and they're going to be drawn to it because you're kind, because you're patient, because you're gentle-hearted, because you are compassionate, and you show those qualities. People feel seen, and that's one of the basic psychological needs. They want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be understood. So trying to make it not about me, but about them, and giving them time, I hope will inspire them to do the same for other people. And I think that's what creates a culture of excellence, a culture of loving kindness, like you referred to earlier, that's really so much more positive and enjoyable to be around. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's amazing. I wish more people lived that way.
Right. And
I think more people want to.
I think so too.
But I think it's that challenge, right? Well, if I want to live that way, if I want to lead by example, that means I'm going to have to do some things to set a new standard for myself to be able to lead that way.
Right.
And that's going to take work.
Yeah, because I will say I think 2021, I went through this bout where I just felt really depressed and I didn't feel like myself post-COVID. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I blamed everybody else. Like, it was such a victim mentality. Like, I blamed Matt, I blamed Waters, I blamed the kids at school, the parents at school, and everybody else was at fault for my mood. Everyone was the reason that I couldn't reach my goals. And reading all the books, I could take all the knowledge, but if I'm not internalizing it and embodying it, then, nothing changes if nothing changes. So I had to confront a lot of discomfort within myself and realize, oh, it's me. I'm the problem. Like, I am getting in my own way. I'm choosing to let my emotions control me. I'm choosing to take my anger out on everybody else around me versus addressing this, and then learning that this doesn't happen just by thinking that thought and then there's a change. It literally takes years and years of, for me, it's meditation, it's prayer, it's going to church every Sunday, and it's spending time alone by myself before I do anything else, sharing my heart with God, and then letting him guide me through these turbulences in my life and change me from the inside. And once I let him in and I make room for him and I minimize self, like, myself is minimized till it's kind of pushed to the side, then I've embodied that and that's who I am. But I've realized, and what I hope to share with other people, is that takes time, but it is work. And it's literally deciding for yourself, I don't want to be a victim. Like, I want to take accountability for this, and I want to be somebody that other people enjoy being around, that is positive, but also that I feel at peace inside, that there's not this at any moment's notice I'm going to lose my cool and I'm annoyed at every little thing. Like, it's genuinely an inner peace that I think takes time to build. And that's why you look at older people who have wisdom and who are spiritually happy, or who have been through a lot of serious trauma. Like, I look at Matt, he lost his mom at a really young age, and they're the most emotionally stable people at peace that I know. And they're genuinely just happy and joyful. And they've been through stuff, or they have that wisdom that comes with time, but it's like, it comes with like, oh, that's like literally a lifestyle of excellence. And it's, I think, comes from the inside out.
Man, I hope if you're watching this right now, this is really good. I just let you talk and I'm just shut up because I'm over here about to cry. This is crazy. My goodness. I mean, that's exactly, just the way me and my wife talk. I mean, these are, I don't want to say this should be everybody's goal because I can't speak for everybody, but Isn't that the goal of life?
I think that inner peace, right? When I think of that, and it comes from the inside out. I can look at somebody and tell if they are exhibiting peace in their lives. Now, there's times where it comes and goes. Those are emotions. That's not your inner peace, your solid foundation. But yeah, I think that should be the goal for lifers. Do you have peace at the center of your well-being of who you are? Or are you letting the currents of life drag you under and beat you about? Because life will do that. But you've got that foundation of peace, then you're going to come out. And again, it really embodies for everybody around you. They can feel it. People can feel it. People are drawn to it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the biggest point I took from everything you just said was, that time when you went through a really difficult time.
Yeah, it was like a year. It was really rough. I was like, am I going to come back out of this?
And we all look back at those times. It's either that one time or several times. Like, man, it was like meltdown mode.
Yeah. Didn't feel like myself at all.
And typically, and this is what we've talked about before, is I can blame circumstances. I can blame my past. I can blame the people around me. I can whatever the case may be. But the moment we start to go inside ourselves and start to do the work like you're talking about, and everybody that knows me knows that I get up super early in the morning. That is my time when the world is asleep. And if I don't do that, the day doesn't go the same. It doesn't
smooth, right?
It's not as smooth. It's that time of day that I get centered and prepare for the day in, all aspects of the day. Initially, it may be, I heard Andy Frisella say this, and he went off because he loves going off.
Yeah.
And I love to listen to him go off. But he said he was so sick of hearing the word sacrifice.
Yeah.
He said, I'm sick. I sacrificed to do this, and I sacrifice. He said, it's not a sacrifice, it's an investment.
Yeah.
I don't sacrifice by getting up at 3 a.m. I invest in this by getting up at 3 a.m. as I'm preparing for this while I do cardio or, spending time with God, spending time meditating, whatever that's not a sacrifice. That is an investment that I'm making in myself personally, in my family, and my job, and all those things. So it's looking at it differently.
That's all it is. It's a choice. And it's thinking, what's going to help me feel the best? Like, I want to feel good. In our society, the world is set up for you to not feel good. Every single thing about it is set up for you to really feel your worst and be depressed. And you have to, it's literally going against that and thinking, what choices can I make today that are going to make me feel good, that are going to drive me forward and make me enjoy the day versus waking up with anxiety, waking up with dread and despair and stress. It's choosing, what can I do? And like you said, for you, it's getting up early. That's one simple thing people can do. You don't have to get up early. You can do it at night after the kids go to bed, but just taking time by yourself in solitude to allow yourself to actually experience the thoughts that you're having, because so many times we distract ourselves, whether that be through social media or keeping ourselves so busy and so fully scheduled and watching TV. We don't allow ourselves to feel what we're feeling and to actually feel the discomfort of maybe not pursuing our best lifestyle, which could be excellence, or it just might be, I'm making really bad food choices and I'm like making choices that aren't driving me forward and I don't feel good, but we don't allow ourselves to feel that, if that makes sense. We keep ourselves busy and then we blame everybody else why we don't feel good.
Right. So I want to point something out and then we're going to wrap it up.
All right.
So we've been talking for 47 minutes.
It goes by fast.
It does. It does. So for 47 minutes, and this is what I love. This is how you know that your gut was right.
All right.
So when you listen to somebody talk and they share their story, they share their goals, they share a little bit of their past, why they do what they do, their plans for the future, not one time was it about you.
Good. That's literally, before I came on, I sat a prayer in my car and I was like, I don't want this to be about me. It was hard for me to accept the invite to come because I don't like the attention being put on me or things that I do. Who cares about that, right? It's more like, how can I literally help other people? Like, what can I do and give back so that people can listen and be inspired and know that, okay, I'm one choice away from making myself a little bit more at peace or feeling a little bit better through the day. So I'm so glad you got that, because it's uncomfortable I don't want to make it about me.
Yeah. I mean, so but all the things that you do. So the daily drive to, especially when school's going on. So during the school year, you're waking up early, you're still finding time to work out. You've got family time, you've got faith time, you teach all day. Well, now what happens when you get home if you're a PhD student at USC? I've got to spend time, and you've got to be exhausted.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's too much caffeine. Right. Way over caffeinated.
Right. But ultimately, when you hear the story, it's about becoming a better servant leader so I can have a greater impact on the people around me.
That's what I hope it's all about. It's not about the end goal, even with Make My Fitness. And this is what I try to tell the girls that I still coach. There's never going to be a spot where you get to in life, whether it be finishing your degree or publishing papers or whatever it is that you're doing. You're working on fitness, like getting to your goal weight. There's never going to be a spot where you're like, oh, this is it. I made it. I feel good. Right. You just don't get there, even when I competed. So you really, as cliche as it is, it's in the day-to-day actions, the little things, the journey, because I don't want to focus like, I've got this long-term vision, but I'm going to bring it back to what I'm doing right now, whether it's literally washing the dishes in the sink when I get home. When I walk in, instead of losing my cool, if Matt left some dishes in, instead of being like, why didn't you get these dishes done? It's like, all right, I'm going to take a minute and enjoy this process. Like, I'm going to enjoy feeling the soap on my hands, the warm water. And it's switching your mentality to really practice one of gratitude and being aware of your thoughts and being conscious of every minute throughout your day, choosing to pursue it in a way that is going to bring you peace. And that so hopefully, again, other people can be impacted, because when I live that lifestyle, when I come from that place, Matt's impacted when I walk in from work, if I lose it about the dishes, or if I'm like genuinely talking about his day while washing the dishes, that impacts him. He's going to feel more love. He's going to feel more valued as a husband. It's going to impact Waters because he's not going to see his mom completely lose it, which I have done. That's just happens. That's how I can have that personal story. But he sees you as more, oh, mom's home and she's happy. She's going to wash the dishes, and then I'm going to come from a place of peace for both of them. That influences the way the rest of our evening goes. Same thing with my kids at school. If I'm, instead of boom, 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 boom at them, if I'm calm and can listen to them and respond from a place of peace, it's going to influence them so that they can respond to others that way. Same thing at the gym. Hopefully, if somebody stops and talks to me, if I can come from a place of peace and humility, they can pass that on, and it really, hopefully, ripples and goes and goes and goes. And that's for me the biggest goal is whatever tone I set, whatever energy I put out, I want it to be able to be picked up by other people so that they can either absorb it if they need it, because so many people are dealing with their own discomforts that they just need a little bit of love. They just need a little bit, someone to listen to them, even if it's a stranger at the gym. They just need to be heard for a second to feel valued. And they may not be in a place where they can give it back, but they can take it and get something from it. Or they can say, you know what, I really appreciated this. Hopefully I can make somebody else feel that way. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. That's one of those things where it's like, we just cut. That's it. I can't say anything else to make it any better, but I am going to ask you to do something with me.
All right, let's do it.
I wasn't going to do it this way, but we're going to share.
Okay.
So up on the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read one and you read the next one. We'll take turns.
Okay.
So we're going to leave everybody with this, and once we do this, we'll cut it. And, but before we do this, I want to make sure I thanked Aline and Manny, because, if you don't know this, I was telling Katie before we started, it's like the studio keeps evolving every week. There's some kind of new equipment. There's new lights. They keep working their butts off to make it better and better every week. And we're working to try to bring better content. And of course, when you have people on like Katie, that makes it easy. But we're loving the way we're doing this. It's just, we were talking about this, just having conversations, getting to know people.
Yeah.
In 52 minutes, it's like we know each other a lot better now.
Yeah, definitely.
So that builds relationship. And those are kind of things that just build on each other over time. Mm-hmm. It just strengthens over time. It's like these are the people that I trust. These are the people that I want to surround myself with.
Right.
And we don't walk through life guessing or.
And you're not alone. Yeah. Everyone's you got a team of people to support you. You're not by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. But thank you to Manny and Aline, and this is getting more and more fun every week. So, as always, follow us, like, share, smash the like button. I'm supposed to hit do all that stuff. That's the social media stuff.
You got to do it.
I know.
People engage with it.
I do it. But we're going to leave you with this. So I'll let you go first.
All right. So I'm reading the top Aristotle one or the first one? No,
the first one. I will.
Okay. I will do more than belong. I will participate.
I will do more than care. I will help.
I will do more than listen. I will understand.
I will do more than believe. I will practice.
I will do more than read. I will absorb.
I will do more than forgive. I will forget.
I will do more than dream. I will work.
I will do more than teach. I will inspire.
I will do more than earn. I will enrich.
I will do more than give. I will serve.
I will do more than live. I will grow.
I will do more than be a friend. I will be a brother or a sister.
I like that. Did you write that?
No, I wish I did.
You can fool me. That's good. You can fool me. I was like, this is good.
I really wish I did. Yeah, I did. I just this morning just
Poetic.
I read. I was like, man, that's really, really good.
It is. It is.
So like hit pause and write that down because I'm somewhere that's going to be put up in the house somewhere.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I found it. Katie, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This
I
is
really
awesome.
appreciate it. I really do. It means a lot that you asked me to come on and just be able to talk and share. And like I said, I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed talking to you and getting to know you a little bit more. And I know that that will only continue to grow as we continue our time together.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Guys, thank you. We'll see you next time.